Alright guys, so we just had the EA Play event and Respawn decided to reveal so much brand new things about Apex like crossplay, the brand new Lost Treasures collection event coming very soon as well. But we still have even more stuff to talk about in this video thanks to the one and only Jason McCord, who is actually doing the Lord's work right now over on Twitter, because he was basically responding to some fans and stuff asking about the upcoming update, and he basically gave us so much brand new information about what to expect in this patch. And you guys most likely saw the title of this video and immediately got excited because I mentioned the Havoc getting nerfed, and that wasn't clickbait guys. The Havoc is indeed getting nerfed when this brand new update does drop on June 23rd, which is obviously Tuesday. Now we also have even more stuff to talk about in this video because Jason McCord did not stop with just the announcement of a Havoc nerf. He also gave us information about the upcoming Lifeline Buff and Octane Buff, a Wraith Buff potentially guys, and he also just cleared up some stuff around the event. So if you guys are ready, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. You guys have no idea how much a simple like actually helps my video get out there, so if you enjoy, drop a like, I'd really appreciate that. And if you're still not subbed, we just hit 25k and I think the goal now is to hit 30k, so yeah, if you guys want to support, I'd really appreciate that. But enough talk, let's take a look at all of these changes coming in the update. So first up guys, one of the biggest changes is a Havoc nerf, as I said. Now Jason McCord, right, if you guys still don't know, he's the design director at Respawn, but he responded to a tweet that basically said, "Great work from the whole team on this event. Thanks for listening to the community on buffs for legends like Lifeline and Octane. Hopefully we get a Havoc nerf soon too." And Jason McCord simply said patch notes before the event. Now this to me is just obvious confirmation of a Havoc nerf coming with this patch, because the fan was not asking Jason about the Lifeline buff and Octane buff, right? He was actually talking about at the end the Havoc nerf, and that is what Jason McCord was responding to in that tweet. So for all of you guys who hate to play against the Havoc in ranked, in pubs, on a whole, you hate to actually play against Gibbies as well who love to use the Havoc, because Gibbies who use the Havoc are kind of like OP, because honestly guys, once a Gibby has his gun shield up, right, and he has you in his sights and he has a Havoc as well, you're gonna die. You can't really do anything about that unless the Gibby has terrible aim, but because of skill-based matchmaking in Apex, the Gibby most likely will have good aim, right? So long story short guys, the Havoc is getting nerfed in this patch, which is great news. And as I said, right, hopefully this nerf would actually make the Havoc less effective, because the initial season 5 nerf to the Havoc wasn't that good, right? It was basically still the same gun. So we'll see how this nerf actually treats the Havoc, if it's still gonna be good after, who knows. But I think that this is a good way to start the video guys. The Havoc is getting nerfed, which is great news for everyone, so yeah. Alright, so we also got some more information as well as confirmation on legend buffs as well in this upcoming patch. We all saw the Lifeline buff in action in the Lost Treasures trailer, right? But there's actually even more to that buff. So initially we all just assumed that the Lifeline buff would allow your teammates to actually connect the drone to themselves, and Lifeline could just kind of like go off and do what she wants to do without actually having to do the revive animation, right? Well, it seems that this buff would also allow Lifeline to revive 2 teammates at the same time, which is kinda crazy, right? So once again, someone on Twitter asked, can Lifeline revive 2 down teammates at the same time, drone on one teammate and manually picking up the other, right? And Jason McCord simply replied and said yes and confirmed that as well. So Lifeline is actually getting a very good power boost in this update, and she most likely will be much more effective in ranks as well when these buffs do arrive. Now most likely when this buff comes for Lifeline, Respawn also would nerf some other aspects of Lifeline just to keep her in check, because Respawn always talks about how Lifeline has some of the best stats right now in game. So I won't be surprised if Lifeline has a longer revive time now because of these buffs, who knows, but do expect some sort of like small nerfs as well to keep her in check. Now we also have a confirmed Octane buff as well, which Respawn did promise us at the beginning of season 5. Now it's not going to be a full-on rework like what Mirage had or even what Lifeline will have, it's just some simple buffs to Octane. So Jason McCord also confirmed this on Twitter, but we don't know exactly what this buff is gonna be. Now if I personally had to guess on what this buff would be, I would say it most likely is gonna affect Octane's team value as a legend right now in Apex, because Respawn actually talked about this recently as well, and in a recent Reddit post, a dev at Respawn actually said that Octane has some of the worst team value right now in Apex, and it's actually very true. I also don't think that this buff would affect Octane's speed right now in Apex, and Jason McCord himself himself spoke about this just like 1 week ago. And what he said is that Respawn struggles with making legends too fast. It destroys understandable combat when someone can flank and reposition too fast. But we know Octane is speed guy, so it's tough. So because of that tweet, I don't think that this buff would like increase Octane's speed in any significant way. Now things could still change, right? We don't 100% know what to expect with this buff, but hopefully it brings Octane's power level, it brings Octane's usability right now in Apex up to par, because he is one of the worst, if not the worst legends to use in his current state in Apex. So fingers crossed that this buff would be good, it'll be effective, and we can actually use Octane now in a lot more scenarios. Now last but definitely not least guys, we have a potential Wraith buff. Now Wraith has been nerfed so much times in the past because her stats have always been so high in Apex, and I won't be mad if Respawn gives her a very small buff in this update as well. So here's what Jason McCord recently had to say about Wraith. So someone asked, are there any Wraith buffs coming in season 5, plain and simple, and Jason McCord replied that some tweaks to her kit, yes. Look for patch notes before the event goes live. Now I'm not too sure what tweaks mean, right, but he was responding to someone who actually asked about Wraith buffs and he said yes. So it could be a buff, it could be a small tweak. I hope it's a buff because I actually play Wraith as my main, so I'm kind of biased on this right now, but looking at the context of this tweet, it most likely will be a very small buff if anything, but I think a buff is likely. And for you guys who main Wraith just like me, this should also be some very good news. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. We have a Havoc Nerf coming, we have a Octane buff, a Lifeline buff, and also a potential Wraith buff in this update. So it's going to be a very exciting day on Tuesday guys, and hopefully all of these buffs will be well received as well. So yeah, thanks so much for watching again. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in some more Apex. Till next time.